Today on Hearts of Heroes, 3 people are trapped in the middle of a roaring flash flood.
Anytime someone's stuck on top of their car in rushing water, it's a life or death situation.
Their only hope for rescue, a daring helicopter airlift.
And we knew they needed help right away.
Plus, firefighters raced to save the lives of 2 kids caught in a harrowing apartment fire.
We had a report of several people trapped, so we aggressively went into search mode.
You can always count on brave first responders to put their lives on the line for those in need.
Maricopa County, Arizona is known for its beautiful but rugged desert terrain. In monsoon season, it's known for something even more ominous, flash floods.
For 3 unfortunate people caught in these torrents, they would need a team of highly trained air rescuers.
Maricopa County is located in south central Arizona. With more than 4 million people, it's the state's most populous county, and it's big in the nation too. Here, you'll find the bustling capital of Phoenix, as well as picturesque desert landscapes just outside of town.
Phoenix and the surrounding areas are all desert areas with a lot of mountain areas around, so people go out and participate in outdoor activities around here.
That area is mainly for off-roading, horseback riding, hiking, that kind of stuff.
Of course, being in the desert means that the summer brings sweltering temperatures.
Summers here in Maricopa County are brutal. They're brutally hot. A lot of people say that it's a dry heat, but when you're talking 115, 118 degrees, it's hot.
Once July and August rolls around, there's potential for floods with the rains, what we call the monsoon season.
Monsoons are summer weather events that we have here. A lot of times they'll start out with a dust storm blowing in. The thunderstorm pushes down air and downdrafts, and it causes a huge rain event and downpours.
Those monsoon storms can cause flash floods in a matter of moments.
We get a lot of flash floods down here, and it can cause some rivers to flow at 10 feet deep or whatnot, so it causes real trouble for us.
When it rains, it can really come down in that area. The water can really move. I've seen it other times where the little trickle of water can turn into a mini Colorado River. It's just whitewater rapids.
And to make matters worse, the desolate Arizona terrain can make rescues extremely difficult.
There's a lot of places in Maricopa County that aren't populated, have no roads, are very mountainous, and sometimes the helicopter is the only way in within a reasonable amount of time.
Luckily, the Maricopa Sheriff's Department has a specially trained search and rescue team who are also licensed pilots.
Michael White and his partner Terry Heimgartner are both sheriff officers and experienced helicopter pilots.
Terry and I have worked together for several years now. We get together constantly and train. The trust has to be 100% every time we go out.
In late July of 2021, the monsoon season ramped up, making it an extremely busy season of rescues.
We had 4 or 5 days of rain. You would have one storm roll in, and then a couple hours later, another storm would roll in, and it was really a soaker of a week.
There was a flash flood advisory for that whole weekend, not only for Maricopa County, but the whole state of Arizona was expecting a lot of rain that weekend.
On the afternoon of July 25th, 3 men in a pickup truck were off-roading near the Aguafria River. But when a flash flood hit, this dry riverbed turned into a gushing torrent.
A lot of times people will go across when it's dry, and they come back to it, and there's some water running, and they think that their vehicles that are bigger and 4-wheel drive can make it across, and a lot of times they can't.
As the rushing water swept the truck downriver, the men scrambled to the top of their car and called 911.
We were out on another call, and I heard on the radio another call come out for the Aguafria area.
Dispatch said that there was a vehicle stuck in the Aguafria River, and he had floated downstream a couple hundred yards and he's stuck.
Anytime someone's stuck on top of their car in rushing water, it's a life or death situation. At any time, their car can tumble and they're thrown off into the water. We really quickly need to get there to help them, or it could be tragic.
But as the sheriffs flew to the Aguafria River, the storm kept growing.
As we're flying along, Mike mentioned to me, he goes, I don't know if we can make it. I'm like, what's wrong? And he goes, well, we got a dark cloud right in front of us, right where we're heading. So I kind of looked up and I saw, yeah, it was pretty black right in front of us.
You can hear some thunder, so you know there's lightning in the area, which is not great for a helicopter. So you start wondering about, is it gonna get too much rain coming down? Is the lightning getting too close where we can't fly?
Well, the challenge is flying in that type of weather is visibility. If our visibility isn't there, we're not gonna fly. We'd have to think of a different way to rescue these folks.
Coming up, the rescue team has to perform a dangerous air rescue.
We've had it before where they jump towards the helicopter and they want to try to lunge towards the skids.
And later, bystanders jump in to help in a fire.
Everybody out!
We started to go out the front door, and there was too much smoke and things falling from above.
But first, a safety tip.
Sometimes traveling during the winter is inevitable, so be sure to stock up on essentials before you hit the road.
Remember to dress appropriately for the weather and keep an extra blanket, food, water, and cell phone charger in your car, even if you're only traveling a short distance.
You may not be able to control the weather, but you can control how prepared you are.
In late July 2021, powerful thunderstorms rolled over Maricopa County, Arizona. The result? Flash flooding. Helicopter rescue pilots were called in to help the 3 men who were trapped on top of their truck in the rushing Aguafria River.
The Aguafria comes from northern Arizona, so it's dropping in elevation pretty quick. That water can really get moving once it starts collecting.
Unfortunately, these kinds of rescues are not uncommon.
That's the big thing that we'll run into is people are stuck in the middle of washes in their vehicles that they tried to drive across, and then their vehicle will get flooded out.
Experts have some advice for anyone driving in these very dangerous conditions.
If you see some water, especially if it's over a foot deep, don't even try to cross it. If it's really moving, it'll take a full-size vehicle. A foot of water can move a full-size vehicle. It's not worth your life to risk getting on the other side.
As pilot Michael White and his partner, Terry Heimgartner, got into that helicopter, they could see a storm on the horizon, and that was going to complicate the flight.
We got to a point where there was another storm that went all the way to the ground with the clouds, so we couldn't initially get into where they were. So we had to make a hard left turn, go around to the south, and try to come in from the other side.
The maneuver was going to cost them precious minutes, and they still didn't know how the men were doing on top of the truck.
That probably took us at least 15, 20 minutes to get to the location. And immediately when we got to location, we saw the black pickup stuck in the middle of the river, and we saw the 3 individuals on top of the vehicle, and we knew they needed help right away.
They were in bad shape, and the water was up to the side windows on this big lifted 4x4 truck. So there were several feet of water, and it was rushing fast.
With nowhere to land, they'd have to perform a risky rescue.
We came in and we hovered next to the roof of the truck. That's where the 2 guys were that were on the very top part.
But Pilot White would have to rely on his partner to guide him close enough to the truck.
I'm harnessed on, I'm standing out in the skid of the helicopter, and I'm telling the pilot, how far down he needs to go. And I'm flying the helicopter with my eyes, and he's actually moving the controls.
The water was really muddy, and it was flinging muddy water onto the windshield, making it really hard to see. So I got to rely on the guy in the back to be my eyes to see the ship and tell me, come left a little, come right a little, whatever I need to do to adjust the ship. And as he's doing the rescue.
As they got closer to the vehicle, they had to make sure that the men didn't panic.
I'm telling the people just to stay put, because we've had it before where they jump towards the helicopter. They want to try to lunge towards the skids.
They've been there for a long time. They've been thinking for a long time that they could tumble down the river and possibly die. So they have this tendency to want to jump.
After they made sure everyone was calm, the next step was to get the men safely on board.
I got Mike in position where it was a good spot for me to grab a hold of the guy's arm, and he reached out to me. I grabbed him by his hand and his arm. The first guy slipped on the windshield, so I had, at the same time, kind of grab him to prevent him from falling onto the hood where the water was.
Terry managed to pull the first guy inside the helicopter.
From there, I walked Mike into where he needed to be again, which wasn't much. He just had to move a couple more feet. Did the same thing with the second guy. Was able to grab his hand and arm and pulled him into the helicopter.
But at this point, they reached the weight capacity of the helicopter. They'd have to come back for the third man.
We dropped the first two guys off and quickly returned and got the third guy. Again, did the same thing and talked Mike in how far down, how far to the right he needed to go, and we grabbed the third guy and brought him back to the same location to where the deputy was waiting for him.
The three men were shaken, but unharmed. And it was all due to this team of brave and highly trained men who put their own lives on the line.
These particular rescues, the water rescues, are some of the most dangerous ones we do. And so it comes into trusting your partner, building that trust over years and training, and it prepared us for this day of these rescues.
Coming up, a horrendous apartment fire leaves people inside with no way to escape.
We had a report of several people trapped, so we initially aggressively went into search mode.
When firefighters show up, their first priority is to get people and pets to safety.
And when an apartment fire broke out in Spokane, Washington, these brave heroes went above and beyond to rescue some of the most vulnerable among us.
Located in the eastern part of Washington is the beautiful city of Spokane. It's named after the Spokane tribe of Native Americans who called this area their home. Today, it's a bustling city with museums, art centers, and universities.
We have a blossoming downtown, beautiful. We have a river that runs right through the city. We're close to a lot of outdoor experiences if that's what somebody's into.
It's got the smaller city feel to it, but you have everything at your fingertips.
Glanny Ricklon and his wife find Spokane to be a perfect place to raise their children.
There's a lot of fun for the family. I think it's best for the summer because they got a lot of stuff for the kids.
But on June 19th, 2021, Glanny faced one of the worst nightmares a father can imagine. That afternoon, he was home watching his 5-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son in their second-story apartment.
I went to the kitchen and make the kid food and dance with them with the movie they watched.
Suddenly, Glanny noticed thick black smoke filling the kitchen. He ran back to the bedroom to discover that his mattress had somehow caught on fire.
I grabbed the mattress, tell the kid to get out of the way so I can grab the mattress and toss it out at the main door.
In the chaos, his 5-year-old daughter took her toddler brother into the bathroom. That way they could escape the flames. Meanwhile, Glanny pulled the mattress to the front door.
I was trying to pull the mattress out of there, but the flame was going so fast. I was burning myself from my head to over here, like, bad.
In a house fire, it's very easy to panic. But in this kind of situation, the best thing to do is evacuate immediately. Call 911 and let firefighters handle the situation.
Now the burning mattress was blocking the door. Glanny was trapped outside the apartment, unable to get to his kids. He began screaming for help. His downstairs neighbor, Justin Farwell, could hear his calls.
I heard some screaming outside, and I grabbed my stepson and told him to head outside and see what was going on.
Justin's stepson ran out the door and found that the upstairs apartment was on fire. Justin immediately called 911 and started getting his other children out.
We started to go out the front door initially, and there was too much smoke and things falling from above. So we had to back out and go back out our slider door in the back of our apartment to get out safely.
The fire was spreading rapidly, and there were so many people in jeopardy.
With apartments, you're going to have multiple occupants. You're going to have usually a common attic. So when fire extends into the attic, it can extend through the entire building.
As the fire grew, Justin got his kids to a safe place. Then, along with other bystanders, jumped in to help.
Everybody out!
We went around knocking on doors, making sure everybody was getting out of the apartment.
Meanwhile, the fire moved to the third-floor apartments. By this time, first responders were being dispatched.
They had multiple callers calling this one in, which indicated to us that this was a real structure fire. En route, they also told us that they had several people still trapped.
2 of those trapped victims were Glanny's 5-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son. The question was, would firefighters get there in time?
I was really shocking, don't know what to do. I was so sad, and I thought I lost him already.
Coming up, firefighters have no time to spare.
You could look up and see the little girl's eyes right at the windowsill.
But first, another safety tip.
When evacuating a wildfire, choosing the right clothing can help keep you safe.
Wearing a long-sleeve shirt, pants, and a durable pair of boots can protect your body from heat, embers, and other debris. Avoid wearing synthetic materials and instead aim for cotton options.
When it comes to wildfires, being safe and protected is the new style.
In June of 2021, a fire broke out in a multi-unit apartment in Spokane, Washington. As Glanny Ricklin tried to pull a burning mattress from his apartment, he found himself outside of his home and his children trapped inside.
You could see the fire was coming out of the door, so I mean it was already engulfed their whole apartment.
By the time firefighters arrived, multiple apartments were engulfed in flames.
We had a huge smoke column. We had fire involved coming out the second story of this apartment building, spreading all the way up to the third and already into the attic space.
The first priority for firefighters is always life safety, so their main focus was to save the victims inside the building.
We had a report of several people trapped, so we initially aggressively went into search mode.
Lieutenant David Swoboda split up his crew. Half the team searched the second story, and Swoboda's team went to the third floor.
We took a ladder to the back side of the building, we threw it to the third-story balcony, and then my partner and I started searching the third story down.
As Swoboda swept the main rooms, his partner went to check the bedroom.
And he said that the door was locked. Kicked down the door and found nobody in the apartment, thankfully.
The people inside had already escaped, but as the rescuers started to leave, they discovered they were not alone.
When we came out onto the balcony, we found a German Shepherd that was on that balcony that we had just come in a minute or two prior. The dog was absolutely frantic. She was running on the balcony. And we knew at that point that we couldn't leave her there.
The dog was understandably distressed.
My partner reached out to try to calm the dog down. The dog snapped at him because of the stress and the chaos of the moment. He reached out, started petting her head, just calmed her down. Once he calmed the dog down enough, picked the dog up and passed her to me on the ladder and started making our way down.
But they still had to find Glanny's children.
There was a gentleman that kind of just gestured that there were kids still in one of the apartments, and you could look up and see the little girl's eyes right at the windowsill.
Lieutenant Josh Ruby knew he had to get to those kids quick.
We threw the ladder up. I went up the ladder. The window was locked, so broke the window out, cleared all the glass out, and at that point was able to grab the girl. She was very scared and hot. I mean, the smoke wasn't tenable for much longer in that apartment.
Lieutenant Ruby carried the girl to safety, but her brother was still inside.
Then another firefighter from Engine 2 was able to make it up the steps into that apartment, and then he ended up finding the little boy that was in the bathroom, and that's when he passed the little boy off to me.
Soon, the kids were reunited with their dad.
We went to them and knocked them, and then the ladies just came like, "Hey, sir, you got burned." I was like, "Oh, yeah, I got burned."
Glanny was rushed to a burn center in Seattle, and while his injuries were substantial, he made a full recovery. Today, he is forever grateful to the heroes who saved his family.
If is there any word bigger than thank you, man, I should offer them. Bless you and thank you.
I feel like it was definitely a success. We were able to get the dog down the ladder. Another crew located the children, was able to remove them, and that's what we judged success by.
We can't always predict when a house fire will strike.
But when they do, we can be sure that there will be brave heroes ready to save lives.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.